On this episode of Strength Coach Tutorials, I'm going to show you a neat little trick that you can use on your dashboards where you will be able to select the type of chart you want to display based on a drop-down menu. This is going to be a really powerful trick if you're doing any kind of dashboards and want them to be flexible so that you can display the information that you want when you want. So let's get after it. Okay, so we're back and we are going to work on a drop-down menu that we can use to select the type of chart that we want to display. Now, in order to get this project started, I've just gone ahead and created some dummy data. So what I have is some athletes and then a date that a test was performed on, and then the type of test, and then the value for that test. Now, the first step that we're going to have to go through is actually creating some charts for the data. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the athletes and the test and the values. And I'll just go to insert and I'll go to a recommended chart. And I'm just going to select this clustered column chart and hit OK. Because I really don't care what the charts look like in this case. And I'm just going to call this CMJ by athlete. Because this is just for the purposes of the video. And then I'm just going to make a couple of other charts. So I'm going to Control C, copy this, and then paste it. And I'm going to right click, change chart type, and maybe I'll just make this one like a horizontal line graph, wherever it is. There it is, bar graph. So I can just select that one. And then I'm going to do the same thing one more time, Control C, and then Control V. And I'm going to turn this one into a radar chart. So there are our three charts. And then what I'm going to do is just move these off to the side, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm going to put my bar chart over here. And an interesting trick with Excel, if I hold down the Alt key while I'm moving a chart, it's actually going to snap to the cells that I put it in. And that's going to be really useful here in a second. So what I'm going to do is position these charts so that they are right within the cells that I want to pull them out of. And so I'm just using the Alt key to match these up to some cells. And then what I'm going to do, make sure those are all matched up. And then I'm just going to turn the backgrounds off on these. Okay, so what I'll do is just right click, go down to Format Chart Area, and I'm just going to turn the line off for the border. And I'm going to go down to the next chart, turn the line off for the border, and then the last one, turn the line off for the border. Now, the next thing we'll do is I'll create the actual drop-down menu that we're going to use to pull these charts out of. So all I've done is selected a group of cells. I'm going to color this yellow so that I remember that it's where we're going to put our selection and put a border around that. And what I want to be able to do is select the type of chart out of here, and then have it appear kind of on my sheet here. So what I'll do is I'll just block off a bunch of cells, merge and center, where I'm going to put the chart inside. So that's where our chart is going to go. So in order to have a drop-down menu, we're going to need some data to select from. And if you remember the charts that we chose a bar chart, horizontal bar. I'm just going to actually remove chart from here, so I'll just call it bar, horizontal bar, and then radar. And I'm going to create a quick data validation for those three values. So I'll go back to my yellow cell, data validation, and I'll select a list. In this case, what I want my source to be is just these three values right here. And I'll hit OK. So when I select one of these, what you'll see is that it just pulls out that value out of my list here. Now, one other thing that I need to do quickly is I just need to find out where this or which chart it is in the row. So this bar would be number 1, number 2, number 3. And an easy way to do that is I'm just going to use a match function. So I'm just going to type equals match my lookup value, and then the three cells where I'm going to match it from, and hit enter. And you can see that it's going to pull out which row that the value actually exists in. So that's all the background work that we're going to need to do. Now all we have to do is create a picture recall for this. So how we're actually going to do this is we're going to recall a picture of the chart, not the chart itself. So easy way to do this, I can just Control C and then paste a picture, and then I'm just going to drag that so that it fits inside of these cells here. So that looks pretty good. I'll just bring it in a little bit on this side here. Whenever you're dealing with pictures, it can be a little bit tricky. And then if you remember anything from some of the headshot videos, we can actually create a dynamic reference to recall a picture. So the next thing we have to do is actually create a picture reference for this. And what I'm going to do is name the cells that these charts sit within. So all I have to do for this is just select the cell next to the chart and then go over with the arrow key, hold down the Shift key, and I'm just going to use my arrows to select all of the cells where this chart sits within. So you can see the outside of it is highlighted. And then there is a spot up here where I'm just going to call this chart 1 video 1 and hit enter. So because this is a picture, what I can do is actually call this chart video 1, and it would refer to that chart. I'll just resize it quick. But as you can see, it's actually recalling this. So if we were to move this chart outside of those cells, it's going to take a picture of basically what's ever in those cells. So let's do that for the next two. So I'll hold down the Shift, select this chart. Actually, I didn't get the right cell. So I'll hold down the Shift, select this chart, and I'm going to call this one chart video 2 and hit enter. And if I were to move this to 2, you can see that it changes the chart. Let's do the next one. Equals, chart video 3, and check if this works. I can just change this to 3, and you can see there's our radar chart. So what I need to do is have a way that, based on my selection from the drop down, it selects either chart video 1, chart video 2, or chart video 3. And what I can use for that is a function called choose. And so how this works is I'm going to type equals choose and then select the cell. In this case, it's going to be J2 because we've already referenced which one we want to look at based on the selection. And it's going to ask me for my index number, so that is my J2. And then when I hit comma, it's going to ask me for value 1, and that's easy. It's chart video 1, comma, chart video 2, comma, chart video 3. And then close the brackets off and I hit enter. And you can see that it's going to give me a spill here because it's actually trying to look at or trying to pull out those cells. So I'm going to turn this into a named range. So I'll take this choose function and I'm going to copy that and go to formulas, define name, and I'm going to call this chart video select, and I'll paste that formula right in there. And just to make sure that it works, I'm going to choose this J2 one more time. So you can see we have choose SCT83 video, that's the sheet name, J2 for the video, and then we have our 3 options. Hit OK. And we got chart video select. So now when I call this chart video select, hit enter, nothing happens, but that's because we're selected on 3, and I should be able to go to bar, and it should change to bar and horizontal bar, and then it changes to radar. Or sorry, horizontal bar, and then it changes to radar. Now what you can see is there is an outline here because it's just taking a snapshot. The way to get rid of that is if I just select all of these, and I'm going to take the background color and change it to white. Now that goes away because it's just taking a picture of those cells. And what's kind of neat is if I select the bar chart and then change what it looks like, go to chart design, maybe I like this one. When I change it over, now it looks like that chart. And when I take maybe this one and give it this kind of color. And this one, maybe I'll give it this bold. And now as I select them, even though I've changed what they look like, it's still going to pull them out the way they are. Now, if I was doing this on a dashboard, I could have all of these charts on a separate sheet, or I could just hide some of these this way. I could take this 3 and then these values over here and just make the text white so that you can't see it anymore. And then I could just put a whole bunch of columns in between so that those disappear, and now all I'm left with is my chart selector. So this is a really cool trick if you're creating any kind of dashboards and maybe you want to have options for your coaches or for your athletes to select the type of chart that they want to see for the values. And I hope this trick helps you out. If it does, please like and subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out. And if you have any comments or questions, just leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to get back to you. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you.